So getting us started here as it relates to the Bills, attendance-wise, all but James are here and accounted for. Joey Bosa will not participate today. He pulled a calf, I believe it was late last week, Thursday, I believe, and so he'll be out for more than likely the foreseeable springtime at least, and then we'll get into training camp. Should be good to go by training camp, but understand it just happened late last week, so still in kind of the exploratory phase of what that's going to mean. So Joey's was off to a good start before that, and so it's unfortunate to see him go down. But somebody else, it offers someone else an opportunity to step up and get some quality reps for us as we move forward. This league, as you know, is a tough league. It's a tough division. It seems like it's getting better every year. We look forward to the challenge. We understand the challenge that's in front of us, and we need to take it one day at a time. So some new faces, some new names, as you guys are aware, and we're looking forward to getting to know them and how they integrate it into our overall team as we move forward here. So been real proud of the way that the players have been here from an attendance standpoint and their focus to this point as well. So a lot of good work in the weight room, a lot of good work in the training room, getting our guys stronger, getting our guys faster, and then and getting on the field today. So with that, I'll turn it over to you with your questions.
Hey, Sean, with James Cook, how open has the communication been between you and him that when he does get here, he'll be ready?
Yeah, we're staying in touch, like you'd expect a player and a coach to do. So, you know, James will be here when he's ready to be here, and you know, we move forward.
Given the recent injury history that Joey has, how concerning is it that he's already, you know, dealing with something at this juncture?
Yeah, I mean, it is concerning. You know, durability, availability are key ties to our roster. And so, you know, we basically look ahead in terms of what he's doing now, which is getting himself the treatment that he needs, and he's working hard at it. And that's all that he can control right now. And you know, we get him back when we get him back, probably at this point, training camp. So, you know, we're going to do the best job we can, and I know he is as well, and just take it one day at a time.
Was he working out on his own, Sean, or was this?
No, with the team.
Yeah.
The quarterback sneak assist, you were vocal about your opposition to that play, but it is now allowed still. Will you authorize Joe to call that this year?
Yeah, we'll play within the rules. The rules have now been set, so we always do our best to play within the rules and the rules that are set up for us.
John, what's your reaction to being chosen for Hard Knocks this season?
You know, I would say, Jay, that it's interesting. I think the selection criteria has changed. I know it has most recently, and you know, to some extent, it's I think a real compliment to them choosing us and selecting our organization. Now that the criteria has changed, you know, you look at it, you know, one of two ways, and it's probably a little bit of both. Where you say the opportunity is there for us to number one, our fans, that they can get an inside look, a little bit of what happens. Is it 100% inside? Maybe not. What percent it is it 10%, 20, 50, who knows? But, you know, there's a lot that we do that they'll see, which I think is great for the fans. I think there's also just as much that people won't see. And that's true of anyone's process, right? Any great athlete's or team's process. There's a lot that goes on that people don't see in the hidden hours and days. So I think that's important to note. I think the opportunity for us to really be who we are. I mean, a lot of people see us, they show up at our stadium every week, and they see us live, and they see who we are and how much these guys love each other. You know, our personality comes out, and I think it'll offer, you know, many a chance to see us kind of beneath the surface as well, and see how that rings true day in and day out here. The real challenge is to us is the authenticity of who we are and building that critical trust that is so important to building a good, healthy relationship among players, among staff and players, and then with that trust piece is huge in terms of bringing the team together as well. So that part, that glue part, is going to be challenged because of that third component, if you will, whether it's a microphone, a camera, in different rooms and different conversations. But we are who we are, and that authenticity piece must stay intact, and we keep the main thing, which is our purpose.
This is something that maybe 3-4 years ago you would have been hesitant about. I know Brandon has expressed his reservations about Hard Knocks as recently as last training camp. What gives you how much does this fold into you being a little bit more open yourself as a coach and having grown into the role in accepting this happening?
Yeah, I mean, you guys know me, I'm very open, so. No, I mean, listen, it is what it is, right? So you can look at it one of two ways. Are you trying to walk through the door of, hey, getting closer and closer to success, or are you trying to walk through the door every morning of fear of failure, right? So we choose to walk through the door of, hey, we try and move ourselves closer and closer every day to being successful as an individual, team, and organization. So that's the approach that we take.
What's your level of comfortability with the options that you have in your receiver room now, with Josh Palmer and Elijah Moore coming in?
Yeah, very comfortable. Very comfortable. You get a chance to be around them a little bit. Those two names that you mentioned are new names, some of the newer guys. Their skill set's different. It'll just be interesting to see how we integrate that into what we do, or how we build our offense, probably better said, around their strengths. And I think that's the key of any system is take what you have, get a good feel for what you have, the strengths of what you have and the players and their skill sets, and you make it work for the system. You build the system around it.
What would you like about Landon Jackson's Arkansas tape?
Great motor, conscientious player, mature. He's married already, and you can see that already through the 2 weeks we've been together with Landon and what he's been able to do, and how hard he works. So I think that'll be a good addition for us. And just like I said, a young guy that's just taking it one day at a time, and you could tell he respects that process piece.
Sean, what have you seen from both Keon and Dalton after some of the things that have been talked about at the end of the season with getting bigger and stronger and recovering?
Yeah, like I told you before, as it relates to the team, Sal, those guys are in that weight room and they're working hard. I mean, if you had a chance to get in there, you'd see the sweat equity that's being and the time that's being put into that room, and those guys are working hard, among others, right? So the attitude, the attendance, the guys understand what it takes, and they're focused.
You touched on receiver a little bit ago there. Curtis Samuel last year, how much do you feel like the injuries and end of training camp throughout the season that he played through maybe impacted his ability to have more of a role in the offense than he did? And are you hopeful that toward the end of the season, postseason in particular, when it seemed like he kind of found a bit of a groove there, that he can build on that in year two?
Yeah, that's important. I felt like, to your point, that we kind of got into a little bit of a rhythm late in the year. He's battled through some injuries, and then being new in the system last year, I think took maybe overall some time just to get up to speed, and then maybe how he integrated into what we were doing and how we wanted to do it, and his role then and what it became. And I think now going into year two, I feel like we have a better understanding of how he can help us and the role that he may play for us in the days and weeks ahead.
Sean, what have you noticed about Max Harrison's progress in the month we've had him here?
Yeah, I mean, again, just for all these young guys, it's new, right? So you're trying to get to know them as people. You're trying to get to know them and their skill set, where they need to, improve in terms of their strength, their speed, whatever it is. We kind of do a little bit of a skill assessment or a needs assessment on, hey, where are they more likely to pull early, just from a medical standpoint. So there's a lot that they go through from a filter standpoint or evaluation standpoint when they first arrive. And really it's trying to integrate them and getting them moving. Most of these guys have kind of been on that, what do you call it, the pro day circuit, right? So they're visiting clubs, they're on the, going to this, speaking engagement, whatever, they're not really into football shape. So a part of our onboarding process is really trying to get them as healthy as we can get them right now, and then as into football shape as we can, trying to make sure that they can continue in that healthy column for us.
John, you also,
with
sorry, let me go ahead.
go ahead.
I was going to say, you also drafted 2 other corners, and you got a guy on your roster you drafted in the 6th round that started week 1. How much does that visibly show these guys that are in there that it's, you do your job, it doesn't matter where you came from?
Yeah, I mean, that's a big part of who we are. We tell them, if you guys were in the rookie minicamp, our first meeting together was, now that you're inside the building, we don't care where you were drafted. 1st round pick, 7th round pick, undrafted free agent. And you all know we have a number of undrafted free agents that make our team and have played big roles for our football team and our success. So it's what you do with the opportunity that matters most. And whether it's a 1st round pick or somebody that's drafted lower, CB drafted lower, is now on his 2nd contract. So he's a great example of hard work and being about the process and improving every day.
Keon, I know there hasn't been a lot to assess this offseason. We're very early. But in terms of when you've been around him, when you've had conversations with him, has there been anything that's kind of stood out to you as a maturity maybe starting to blossom?
Yeah, when he came back, he really looked like he had been working. And that's the information we were getting in our little conversations with him during that kind of, down period. When he came back, he was in really good shape. You could tell he had been working drill-wise, weight room-wise. So, real proud of what he's done to this point in the off season. Continuing it now as we get into the 3 weeks of practice will be important, and then on into the summer break.
Seen any jitters from Josh, given his upcoming nuptials?
Cheers for Josh.
Yeah, given his upcoming nuptials are coming up.
I'm not going to get into any of that. Good try, John, on that. But he is as confident and as calm, cool, and collected as he always is.
Last week, the NFL announced the addition of the Protector of the Year award for offensive linemen. What are your thoughts on that significance of the award for those guys, and then Dion especially being at the forefront of arguing for that type of award?
Right. No, I've heard of that, and it's no surprise Dion was involved in that. He's a big time, not only asset to our organization and team, but also an advocate for, I think, players overall. And he's done a really good job of that and going about it the right way, because there's another way to go about it. And I thought he took the right approach, and I think it's good for the league. I really do. And then certainly they ruled that way. So. Those old linemen in particular, they don't get a lot of pub, and maybe that's going to change a little bit. So
You said accounted for. You used the phrase people are accounted for. Is Josh here?
Josh is here. Yes.
What does that say?
I think it says everything, right? So he is the face of our organization. He's the leader of our team, and when he's here, like anything else as a leader, it speaks and it holds a tremendous amount of weight, right? Like any leader, in particular the leader of the team, those words that he says and his actions are exponentially impactful, right, to the whole roster, the whole team.
What's it been like to have Tre'Davious back in the building? You had to do a double take a couple times after back in.
So we met in my office, I think the day he signed, and I kind of, while he was sitting across from me like you guys are, I did a couple, hey, this is a little bit surreal, a little bit, kind of like, it's great to have you back, just in my mind. And so it's always interesting, right, around here. What's next? So, yeah, I mean, it's a classic case to me of a young man that has come here, was drafted here, number one, and really grew every day in front of our eyes. And then he goes and experiences, life on other teams, life in other situations, and now comes back and it's great to be reunited because of who he is, what he stands for, how hard he works. I can't say enough good things about Trey and what he means to me personally, and then what he's meant to our football team.
We were asking about the younger players at that position group a little bit earlier. Where do you see guys returning like Dane Jackson and Tre'Davious White fitting in their second go-around? As you see it right now, I know a long way to go.
Yeah, long way to go. Like you said, there's no depth chart this time of year, probably other than for Josh, right? So, when he's here, Josh will work with the ones, just so you guys know. But no, it's the depth chart is loose this time of year. We roll people in there. Dane will be in there at times with the ones, probably. He'll be in there at times with the twos, and we're just looking to, as a coaching staff, get the best feel for our players that we can and what they can do, what they can't do, how we can help them and develop them. That's part of our goals as a coaching staff.
Sean, understanding that with the depth chart, what are you looking to see out of Cole Bishop this time of year?
Again, just continue to learn the system, develop. The weight room was mentioned earlier. I think that's a big piece for Cole. And, you want a young player to understand the system to the point where he can play fast and you can see his true skill set. I think Cole is already through the football school, the phase 2 days. He's shown that he's getting more and more comfortable with this system, and then finding ways that he can work his magic within this system, meaning where he can cheat. And you learn that the more you know the system is how can you make the system work for you. And as a DB goes, it's where's my help? How can I cheat? If I can drive this route, somebody else can protect me over the top. It's kind of knowing the parts that relate to the overall total whole of the process there.
Coach, if you guys start OTAs here and mandatory minicamp soon enough, what's your goal with the team?
Really, our goal overall is to take it one day at a time right now, and then just continue to find out who we are. I say this every off season, but the team has got to get connected, and that means guys spending time together, getting to know one another. That's a big part of who we are, but an important part of who we are, because it's hard to do that once adversity hits. It's hard to do that in the middle of the season when we say, hey, we're going to have a kumbaya meeting and everyone's going to sit down and air our grievances and get to know one another and go to dinner. You can't do that then. You got to do it now. And so these guys being here is important because it offers them the opportunity to go play golf, go bowl, go to dinner, whatever the outing might be. And that's how you get to know one another and your new teammates in particular. And then beyond that, it's them getting on board with the techniques, the fundamentals, situationally, how we want to play the game. And so that's important as well this time of year.
Sean, can you reflect on your own growth process when it comes to just adapting and having fewer practices, this time around, knowing how much it wears on their bodies?
Yeah. Well, I think that's big, right? You want to be, aware of where your team is every year. And this is a new year, but there's also been a number of players who have been with us through the late runs into the playoffs, in consecutive years for multiple years now. So that was a big piece of, cutting the last week, and then also the rest component. So the way things got moved on the NFL schedule got moved back into what would have been the players' rest. And so I just think that's big, that we can give them that rest as they head into training camp, that we go into training camp firing on all cylinders.
Real at all to do this whole press conference with Vince Carter sitting over there?
Yeah. My first interaction with Vince was at the Tahoe tournament. We were talking about it a few minutes ago. So I got around him then, and he saw my game in full color. And so that's why he's here, actually. He came to help me with my golf game. No, it's great to have him here. And you talk about, high-level performers. This is one right here. So I'm looking to learn from him as much as anyone.
What should he bring to your team with the level that he reached, albeit in a different sport?
Well, we were just, kind of talking shop in Derek's office, and I would tell you that, I want to do it more, because whether you're an elite performer in football, in basketball, or just in life overall, there's a lot of similarities, I believe, that overlap. And if you can just pull one thing from someone and their experience, I think that helps you, right? So I wasn't like this when I was younger. My parents would say I wasn't into reading books and this and that. I was going out and playing, right? But now it's, the older I've gotten, the more curious I've gotten about life overall, habits like this guy's had over the years that make you great. And I think that's good for our team. It's good for the organization. It's great for Buffalo. And why not learn from someone like that?
What do you see as the next step for Greg Rousseau?
Greg Rousseau, the next step? Really, it's just taking his game to an increasingly another level. If you watch the tape, Greg has been around the ball quite a bit. He's been around quarterbacks, affecting quarterbacks. Some of those led to sack numbers, some didn't. It's kind of the nature of the way the position's played. I think Greg knows that the physicality of his game has got to take a little bit of a uptick, if you will, and that comes also with taking that next step.
Chris Tabor, what do you see from Chris Tabor and his coaching style and how it fits in with your team?
Yeah, veteran coach. I really liked, being around Tabes to this point. I knew him before Sal, just being around the league, and he's well respected around the league. He's got great energy. I think he relates well to the players. And somewhat new for him now is the new kickoff return rule, however you want to say it. So he'll have to make some adjustments as well. And like all of us, it's just that process of trying to understand and find that competitive advantage for us.
Sean, at this same press conference, like every year, it feels like continuity is a buzzword that always gets brought up. There's a lot of new names on here. Now, there's a lot of familiar faces as well. When is sometimes an influx of new names a good thing, and continuity doesn't matter as much as it should?
Well, I think continuity does matter. Regardless of how many new faces you have, you still need to have some level of continuity. It helps with the culture, and it helps those players teaching the new players, the new faces, new names. So, there's I would say a higher number of new faces and names this year. But that can be good, too, in terms of youth, in terms of development. We'll have to stem that tide a little bit early, probably more so on the defensive side with the number of new faces and names that we do have, and getting them up to speed for these early contests that will be in here. So that's all part of the development process here. So.